What's up, you guys? Happy Friday. We're talking about being sore because, that's what happens. I thought you opened the window. All right, guys. So what are we talking about today? So we're talking about why you need to stop trying.
I tried to open it.
Stop. Did you try to do this right? Gosh, you guys. What's up, Nate? All right, guys, give us a hello and you jump on. It's Friday night. Hi, Rosie.
It's 4 in the afternoon. Friday night.
Where Nate is, it's Friday night.
That's true.
Right, Nate? It's Friday night. All right, guys. So we're gonna start.
Popping in the club.
We're gonna talk about stop trying. Okay, that doesn't mean we're not saying is throw in the towel, lay on your bed, bury your head in the sand, and just don't do anything. But we're gonna talk about a few words in your language and what they actually mean, and why, if you can shift these, things will actually get a lot better.
You remember what episode we talked about language?
Nope.
Like 10 maybe?
Maybe before we called them episodes.
Yeah, somewhere around there we talked a little bit about language.
Yeah.
All right,
Hi, Christine. Hi, Amanda.
Just a little review on there, you guys, is language carries weight, all right? Like what we talk, the words that we use, the way we describe certain things, it creates our emotional experience and creates our movement at the same time. And so the reason why we're talking about this today is obviously as time continues on, going through the quarantine, I think one thing I saw a really cool kind of pattern initially with a lot of our clients and a lot of, people that we work with, a lot of people that we talk to is, this is like, I'm getting in way more than I ever did while I had my normal life going on, right? And then obviously as time has gone on, whether we were using that extra motivation as kind of a distraction away from what was possibly really going on emotionally and mentally on there to now all of a sudden we're starting to see kind of the grind get to us on there, right? Like when I say grind, what does that do viscerally for you, right? Like just that word, what does that do for you? I wanted to just kind of put that out there so you can maybe experience of like just what a simple word grind can absolutely implement inside your body on a sensation factor, right? Like, and that's one of the big things we always hear in our neck of the woods, like keep grinding, right? Like just keep grinding, keep pushing it out, go get a dog, whatever, all those things, right? Like
go get a dog.
Go get a dog.
No one in my life says go get a dog. I'm just
saying.
saying.
Start saying that.
Brandon wants to be out of my life. That's
yes.
what he's saying.
What? But one thing I've seen as kind of a common theme coming through, because, we do weekly check-ins with everyone we work with, all our clients and everything else still at Surge, and then everyone going through our SHIP project, right? Like we try to keep that weekly connection with everyone in addition to our daily workouts that we get to correspond with everyone. But couple things that I'm starting to see as common themes coming up over the last couple weeks is the one starting to not be as present in their activities, not being so present in their lives, starting to, you can start to see the aspects of certainty, trying to hold on to, of trying to control, trying to do all these kind of things, and them acknowledging it, right? Like it's not just on a subconscious level, them acknowledging of like life's out of control, I'm in chaos, I'm in overwhelm, I'm in all these things going on. And then it's like, okay, well, what can we do to, ride the ship, right? Like, okay, the circumstance isn't going to change, but what can we do to ride the ship? Well, okay, what if we did this? Well, I'll try to do that, right? Like, okay, well, are we going to see you tonight? Well, I'll try to make it, right? And it's like, well, what else is going on? Well, I don't really have anything else, but I'm going to try to do that, right? Like, or I'm going to try to do, go out with like whatever that implements in there. The word try is absolutely like a honing beacon for like I know for myself when we were on a family road trip, right? Like we would go on a family road trip once a year to like from Colorado down to Florida to go see my brother and sister. And obviously as kids, we would see landmarks and we'd see those things like, hey, Dad, can we go stop at so-and-so? Can we go do this? And like, he's like 6 hours into driving and like, all he wants to do is just get across Texas and survive it, right? And like, sure, we'll see, right? Like, we'll see if we do that, right? For you guys that had that, we'll see, right? Like we have kids now. I understand that 100%. Like we'll see usually means like, yeah, not a shot in hell are we going to actually do that. But you're kind of just appeasing the emotional response around that. Well, I'm going to try is in my book, the same type of thing, right? Like, well, I don't really mean the fact that I'm going to actually do it, but I'm going to try just so I can kind of appease the moment. And at the same time, if I don't actually make it, it's because I didn't really make a commitment to it, so it's no big deal.
Yeah. Hi, Daniel. I think the thing with try, you guys, so if you knew me in my like first life, the word fine was like the word try to me. It set me off because everything was fine. How do I look? Fine. How are you? Fine. I'm like, oh my God, let it be horrible, awful, the worst day ever, or freaking amazing. Like, fine is just this like, bleh, right?
The ironic thing is when I checked her in for the first time, I was like, you look fine.
No, not that kind of fine. What is wrong with you? So, like, think about how those words make you feel, right? It's totally non-committal. And here's the thing in your life, you guys. If you are non-committal, and I feel like when people say they're going to try, they're lying to themselves, right? Like, oh, I'm going to try to do that. Like, have you ever actually done anything you were going to try to do? No. Like, if you need to do something, like, if you have a meeting at work, do you try to make it? No, you don't try to make it. You're like, this is important to me. I need to do this for myself, and you make yourself show up, right? You get to show up. So I think about what's going on when you say the word try, right? Because we talked about trust a few episodes ago. I don't know. It's been a lot of episodes. We talked about trust a while back. And so trying is the thing that's going to help you not trust yourself, right? Because if you're like, well, I'm going to try to eat better. I'm going to try to get up and meditate. I'm going to try and do breath work. I'm going to try to show up to the gym. And then you don't do it. You're like, see, can't trust myself. I knew I was right. I totally can't trust myself. So I'm just going to stop trying, right? And it's like, how is it serving you? Wouldn't it just be better to be honest with yourself and be like, I'm not going to make it tonight, right? Either I don't want to, I don't have the time, I'm not committed right now, it doesn't work in my life, I just, like, whatever, like, just be honest, other than like, well, I tried, because you didn't actually probably try, right? And so think about, like, just own it one way or the other, and be okay with it, right? Like, we're all about owning all your decisions, the ones that are in alignment with what you want to do and the ones that aren't. And sometimes you just have to be honest with yourself. You're like, it's not happening today. I don't feel it. I don't feel good. But like, just own it. And because when you start to own your actions and you understand that you are in control of your life, you are the creator of your life, then everything gets a lot easier. Because when you say try and then you don't do the thing, you make yourself worse. You trust yourself less. And that cycle spins the wrong direction.
Well, and yet again, you guys, I mean, just say it to yourself, right? I'm going to try to go do something. All our decisions are based on our feelings and emotions, right? Like everything we do is to get us to move in a better direction and out of pain and discomfort, right? Like that's how our brains and emotions and everything works. And so when we're making decisions, when I say try, there's nothing that is really significant about that, right? Like that, there's nothing compelling to get me going, right? Like if I'm in a time of despair, I'm in a bad mood, I'm in just a crappy state, I'm just in all things, well, I'll try to do that, right? Like there's no emotional like drive to get you going onto the other side, right? Like we've talked about state, we've talked about those kind of things going on through there, but just like Courtney said, is the ultimate thing that we want to try to instill to everyone we work with, and I said try, is our goal, the ultimate goal.
The thing we're instilling in you guys
is the fact of building in trust, right? Like building in that trust factor for yourself and just being on and not trusting the fact of like, you're going to be perfect, because there is no perfect, right? Like you can be the most motivated person of all time and have obstacles come up and you not be able to get to the things that you want to get to, right? Like you may have other obligations going on right now that is conflicting with that, right? Like yet again, you may have kids that are their schedules may be throwing off on that, right? Like it's just being honest and being real and not coming from a place of judgment, right? Like I think that's the biggest part in this is when you start to use the word try or need to or whatever, like those things, it's coming from a place of judgment and it's not really allowing yourself to.
It's making it feel like something you have to do, not
Yes.
something you get to do, right?
Yes.
Like, well, I should do that, but you know in your heart that's not going to happen. So you're like, well, I'm going to try, right? And like that doesn't serve you. So think about the big things you've done in life. We're going to get married. We're we're going to try. We'll see how it goes.
We'll try this whole marriage thing
Let's
out.
try this parenting thing. If you're a business owner, you're an entrepreneur, if you just tried to grow a business, you're in a lot of trouble. And you went out of business in your first year, right? And so, like, we're not saying go hard, commit, do all the things, but just, like, remove that word out of your vocabulary because of what it doesn't do for you, right? It doesn't serve you. It doesn't get you acting, and it doesn't get you creating ownership, right? Like, we're all about feel all of it, claim all of it, right? Like, once you do that, you're like, okay, this is my choice. Like, you can choose, hey, I'm not going to the gym today. I'm having ice cream for lunch. I don't care. Like, none of that is right or wrong, but you get to choose it. You don't go, well, I accidentally fell into a pint of Ben and Jerry's, right? Like, no, you chose it. That's awesome. If that's what you chose today, great. Go for it. Own it. No guilt, right? And so, like, the other thing with try is it brings that idea of guilt and shame and those feelings. And we talk about all the time with our clients of, like, you have to own the decision. You have to love the decision, not own it. You have to love the decision. So, like, not in the midst of it, but let's say you decide to have 4 beers tonight. Maybe for a lot of you, that's not a lot. But if I had 4 beers, I would be dead tomorrow. Okay, so, like, I'm going to have a whole bottle of wine, right? If I feel bad tomorrow, I have to love that feeling. And then you have to go, well, if I don't want to love that feeling, maybe I want to choose differently, right? And so all we're telling you is, like, choose better words, choose differently, own your life, understand that you're the creator, and take away the guilt and the shame, because that brings trust, and that brings honor, and that brings motivation that comes intrinsically. 4 beers. Yeah, Nate, I would be, like, done if I don't like beer, so, but I think I would be.
Drinking beer?
Yeah, I would, yeah, I don't drink beer, but anyway.
Beer the first night you went out, we drank beer. When you got it spilt all over you.
I don't think I was drinking beer. No, I don't drink beer. I drank beer when I was like 18. I don't drink it anymore. I mean, I was 21. I was definitely 21 when I was drinking beer. Anyway, sidetrack. Go ahead.
Well, I think yet again, you guys, it's just looking at things of it's not checkers, it's chess, right? Like in chess, you got to think 3 moves ahead, and yet again, the part that we work to instill into there is being able to look ahead and be able to have ownership in the ride and in the journey of your life, right? Because when we're in try mode, basically you're in reactionary mode, right? Like I'm gonna react to life as opposed to acting through life. It's to me that's kind of saying, like, I don't hold the power to create my experience, so I'm going to try to make the best of it, right?
I'm gonna let life happen to me, and I'm gonna try to react to it.
And so, and yet again, as we go through these times, you guys, it's not a linear thing of, like, all things should be rainbow sunshines and unicorns, like, right? Like, I had my own thing we talked about 2 days ago, right? But it's being able to be aware of it, and also understanding the language that you use is dictating and driving you in the direction that you want to experience and what you want to create in your life, right? Like, little words. That's a 3-letter word. Thank you. 3-letter word that can drive one way or the other. So simple, just based off of the visceral feeling that's around it. And, you know, it's yet again, it's understanding that everything that we choose to do is based off our feelings and emotions. And so if we can create a better just emotional experience to get us going in that direction, it will probably create a better sensation for us, and it will also create that motivational factor and get our brains working for us, not against us.
Well, I think it's understanding, like, and honoring, right? That life is a journey, and it has its ups and downs. Some days you're just like, this is not happening in my life today. Some days the gym is not serving you, and some days, like, but to me it's like, it's getting in connection with, like, okay, I woke up this morning at like 2 o'clock and couldn't go back to sleep. So it's understanding that if you've had a day like that, it's okay to say, you know what, I'm actually honoring my body. I'm listening to my body. What I need to do is go outside and stretch, or lay on my couch and do nothing, or watch a silly movie or whatever. And then there's other days where you're like, I'm just not that into it. But you know that you actually need to give yourself that little push to go to the gym, to eat more vegetables, to do the things, right? And so what we're saying is that when you are clear what alignment feels like, and you can be inside of your body and you can go, okay, what do I need today? Out of love, not out of fear, then you get to make those choices. Because there are days that you're like, I didn't really want to work out this morning. I just wasn't that motivated, but I knew it was that I just needed to get that little push past where I was. It wasn't that, like, I couldn't do it, right? There's some days where I'm just like, no, this is not in line with my body. I'm exhausted. This isn't smart. This isn't helping me, right? So it's getting in connection with your thoughts and your feelings. We've said this a million times, right? Like, getting into that feed loop, understanding your physical body and knowing when you're supposed to lean in and when you're supposed to push forward, right?
Well, and this just came to me on there. One thing I think if you are experiencing that, you guys, is first off, know that that's normal and it's okay. Right? Like there's no judgment on this side of anything, you guys. It's just one thing that we have seen kind of as a commonality for some people over the last couple weeks as time has gone on through here. And I think especially since like, oh no, we were supposed to be told by this date life was going to go back to normal, and now all of a sudden it's not, right? And it's continuing to kind of drag us through this time frame. And so now listen
to your words.
Right? But it's starting to, create those circumstances. But I think on those times, you guys, if you are experiencing that, right? Like, well, I'm just going to try, I'm going to go through these things, is also the part that I like to have a conversation on is what was your why and what was your goal before all this started, right? Like what was the reason for which you were doing those things initially, and now all of a sudden it's a try, right? Like because your circumstances have changed, right? Like maybe that has created, we talked about this 5 episodes or whatever ago, right? Like maybe your priorities have shifted around on there a little bit, right? But it's also being able to be aware of that at the same time, and instead of looking at it like, well, you know what? I need to be the fittest person on earth right now. It's like, well, no, maybe I just need to be a good role model for my kids. Be there so they can finish school out and they can have fun, and we can have the best experience we can through this time frame, right? Like, but I think if you are experiencing that, like, well, I don't have motivation right now, I don't have all these things. It's going back, it's not, sometimes it's not always about looking forward. It's about looking back of what was the reasoning behind your initial step into the journey in which you're taking. And maybe that needs to expand a little bit, or maybe that just needs to get redefined as far as what's going to fit in this moment right now. Because like we talked about this with several clients on there, is like, well, is the factor of that you're not in a physical gym right now affecting you? Is the fact that you're not surrounded by other people affecting you? Is it the fact that you're also having to wear 14 different hats today that's affecting you, right? Like it's looking at things from a much broader perspective, right? Like our goal here tonight or today with this conversation isn't coming from a place of judge of like, stop trying, get your ass into what you need to be doing. It's just honoring the fact of like, what's the verbiage in which you're telling yourself or describing things for yourself. And at the same time, how is that drawing back to your initial journey in the beginning?
Yeah, well, and I think right now there's a lot of uncertainty about everything opening back up, right? Like we just went on a walk and we went to mail some raw maids, and there's a ton of people out, right? Like I don't even know if Adams County knows that there's a shelter in place, right? But like it was kind of weird because we ended up going into Safeway and got a coffee, which we haven't been having. And like, we're the people wearing masks because I don't know, we're supposed to. And like, we didn't have a mask on. I was like, this feels weird. It's weird to be around people. And I think now there's this weird, like, what's it going to feel like to go back, right? So again, certainty and uncertainty. Like we've been certain we're going to just stay in our house and this is our thing. And now it's like, now there's some uncertainty. So I feel like this is a really good way, you guys, to see like, how can you flow? How can you float? How can you adjust? How can you be fluid in life so that things don't,
Baby came from the other neighbor.
sorry. There's a ball in our yard that apparently is not supposed to be in our yard. So, I mean, it's understanding, like, can you flow with this? Can you lean in? Can you feel what's happening and be like, that feels weird, right? And just honor it and know that all of it is okay, right? But again, pay attention to your words. If you need help, if you're like, gosh, I catch myself. We catch each other all the time, right? I mean, in this conversation.
I got caught like 14 times.
Nobody is perfect, you guys, but like listen to what's going on in your own head. Hey girl, how are you? Listen to the feedback that's going on in your head and then think about, okay, well, how do I shift that into more empowering language? How do I change how that makes me feel? How do I, like, I had a rule for years that I was like, no one uses the word fine. Like, it was literally like the catalyst of my divorce was like, stop using that word. I hated it. I was like, just give me a word that actually means something. In life, there's times I think you should play in the gray, but when it comes to like your feelings, make a decision, right? So that's my soapbox. Don't use the word fine either.
So if you just notice, there's certain triggers that we all have. Just so you know, Courtney's is that one.
I hate that word. I hate that word. So anyway, you guys, all right, that was a little bit of a tangent, but I hope you guys are doing amazing. We'll be back tomorrow. We always do lighthearted things on Saturday. So if you, we did our question and answer a couple weeks ago. It was kind of fun. So maybe we'll do a little more of that. But I posted on my page today. I'm just curious. It's been really fun to get to know you guys. So if there was one song that came on that you have to sing to. What is that song? So fine, Amanda, thank you for not using the F word. All right, you guys. So drop me your song.
One sec. So one thing I want to say, if you are experiencing this, you guys, so yet again, there's certain things that are coming up for a lot of our clients on there. Like I'm running, I just feel unmotivated. I feel like less drive, whatever. Reach out, right? Like we will be more than happy to talk in some fashion with you of like lining out of kind of getting down, like, you know, what are things that inspire you? What would allow you to feel empowered for this time to get you moving in the direction you want to get going?
Yeah. Thanks, Brian. I cut his hair like 3 times now. So,
Yeah.
So I appreciate that you're jelly.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate it.
All right, guys. Hope you're having an awesome Friday. And we'll see some of you in class in a little, I don't know what time it is, but in a little while. So if you're a Surge member, jump on. Let it be good to see you guys. And otherwise, we'll see everybody tomorrow. Have a great night.
Bye, y'all.